Okay. We will call to order the regular meeting of the City Council of the City of Poplar Bluff, Missouri, to be held on Monday, May 17th, 2021 at 7 p.m. in the City Council chambers at 301 South 5th Street. And we welcome each of you here this evening for our meeting. We will now have our invocation by Reverend Timothy Schultz. After that, please remain standing for our Pledge of Allegiance.
Like on Wheel of Fortune. Thank you for the honor of being with you all tonight. Let's pray. Loving God, you tell us in the book of Isaiah to pray for the peace of the city. And we do now pray for peace and prosperity for Poplar Bluff and for harmony among its residents. We ask blessing and protection for our council present here, and that you, O God, would empower them and encourage them, giving them a sense of accomplishment and satisfaction as they serve and do what is best for our community. In the name of Christ we pray. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Reverend Schultz. Roll call, please.
Councilwoman Parson?
Here.
Councilwoman Fox? Councilwoman Horton?
Here.
Councilman Smith?
Here.
Councilwoman Taylor?
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Cornman?
Here.
Mayor Davis?
Here.
We do have a quorum.
Disclosure of interest. Any member of the City Council may disclose any possible conflict of interest dealing with either any item on the printed agenda or with any matter discussed at a previous meeting. Seeing none, citizens' input. Each person in the audience may take this opportunity to address the City Council on any matter which is not on the printed agenda. Seeing none, consent agenda. Item 7, the items on the consent agenda are approved by a single action of the City Council. If any council member would like to have an item removed from the consent agenda and considered separately, he or she may request to do so.
Mr. Mayor, we all received the following items in our packet. So with that being said, I move that we accept the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Consent agenda accepted. Item 8, workshop items for discussion. Item A, the City Council will consider a change order number 1 regarding the airport runway extension project 20075A. Mr. Winters.
So the airport project, as you know, is about to start, and actually they have started. Their actual construction starts tomorrow or Wednesday. Dominic Thompson with Smith & Company's here. Can I kind of give you an overview of the 3 items that are on the change order?
Good evening. As Mark said, there's this change order you guys have in your packet. So basically, the reason for this change order comes down to 2 things, in my opinion, I guess. Basically, is the time of year that this project's going to construction, which the city did not have, or the contract, or us did not have any say in that, I guess. But due to the soil conditions and the time of year, obviously it's raining outside today, so the contractor has requested this change order to put in cement stabilization for the soil. This will allow the contractor to not have any delays. As you guys may or may not know, there is a 30-day closure at the airport. That's a pretty hard deadline date to meet. So to ensure that that happens, the contractor feels that this will enable them to do that without any delays. With that being said, if there were to be delays, then they would probably ask for time and payment for that delay. So therefore, to ensure that that does not happen, they are requesting this change order. So,
Kind of one of the other things that, one of the other potential options we talked about when we talked about this was, the other option, if you want to call it that, is for them to remove that unsuitable soil.
Right.
Which was
That-
so much a yard.
yes, that was included in the original bid.
Right.
We have done projects at the airport
Yeah.
before and have not had any issues. As I said, the time of year has a lot to play with this. A lot of our projects that we've done at the airport happen in the summertime, which is a drier time of year. The type of soil that is out there, and once it gets wet, it plasticizes. It's not as hard, basically. So if it gets wet, then it's going to be harder for them to work, which would lead to delays, which would lead to additional costs. So,
And there were two other items
yes.
on this change order
there
that were
was-
credits
there-
back to us through some value engineering.
Two value engineering items. One was where they took the material that was underneath the runway. Originally, we had a haul road built out to, there's some ponds that exist on the north side of the runway. We were asking them at the time to fill those ponds in, or as much as they could. Instead, they came back to us and requested that they place it towards the end of the runway so they wouldn't have to haul it as far. We didn't have a problem with that, so that
Which
was one.
in the long run, if we do ever extend the
Right.
runway further, that's going to be needed anyway,
Right.
right? So it really kind of is a
Yes.
benefit to us in the end anyway.
Yeah. And the other item was the batch plant. Essentially, there was going to be a batch plant at the airport at the east end of the hangars. That was another value engineering item that was on there. And to go back to the cement soil stabilization, just so the city knows, once that is there, it will be a better final product to the city. They will have, the soil will be stable, plus the extra, the concrete that will be there. So the overall goal is to be able to land larger aircraft at the airport. With this change order, that will also help in that regard as well. So.
Actually had a jet that was supposed to come, that wanted to come in the other day that because of the current asphalt runway couldn't, had to go somewhere else. So we had an example just within the last couple of weeks of how this is going to help us out when it's done.
Well, I have a personal one that my grandson had a transplant and they had to drive him to somewhere in Arkansas to get a jet that could make it out because they couldn't come here to pick him up. So that'll be good for medical issues also.
And one other item, but before I forget, because I tend to do
Can you
that.
speak up just a moment?
Sorry.
Thank you.
Before I forget, the city is not on the hook for the whole change order. This is a cost share project with the FAA and the city, so you know.
Well, thank you for explaining that, sir.
Okay.
Is there any other questions with any of the councilmen regarding this workshop item?
I do want to say that I am asking that you vote on this item tonight so that we can stay on schedule with this.
Okay, thank you.
If there's no other questions or comments, do we have a motion to move this to tonight's voting session?
I make a motion to move into tonight's voting session.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item B, the city council will consider an agreement between the city of Poplar Bluff and MoDOT regarding sidewalk improvements for the Wolf Creek TAP 5100-012 Trails Grant. Mr. Winters?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It seems like we've talked about this project just about every meeting for the last couple of months. We did receive a grant from MoDOT to construct a trail to connect basically the sidewalks along Shelby Road to the Wolf Creek Trail. This agreement with MoDOT, it relates to the installation and the maintenance of that sidewalk once it's completed. Anybody have any questions of me about this agreement?
Does anyone else have any questions? Any question from the audience? If not, do we have a motion to move this?
I'll make a motion to move this to the June 7th voting session.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? None. Motion carries. Item C, the city council will review a proposed amendment to electricity section 520.280 inactive status. Our city planner will report on that.
This is basically an extension of, a while back, we made the change to enable master electricians to put their license in escrow if they had a state license. And basically, this is allowing the journeyman electricians to do the same thing.
Okay, that sounds good to me. Is there any questions, further questions or comments on this? We have a motion to move this to the voting session.
I'll make the motion to move to June 7th voting session.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Item D, the city council will consider a request for a conditional use permit to operate an outdoor sports paintball business. Our city planner, do you want to report on that?
Just stay
Got off the line, I'm sorry. Planning and zoning has passed this through to reissue the same basic conditional use that was granted to Jeff Hovis when he owned the business. Mr. Hovis retains the property but sold the paintball business to Ray Gilton, and nothing's really changing with the business other than the ownership itself. So therefore, they put the same conditional use through.
Okay, thank you, sir. Do we have a motion on this?
I'll make a motion to move this to the June 7th voting session.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Excuse me, is there anyone in the audience that would like to comment on this item? Okay, seeing none, we had a second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
None opposed? Motion carries. Item F, thank you, sir.
Item E.
Is there one more? Okay, item E, excuse me. The city council would consider a permit for Birds Rides Incorporated to provide services within the city limits of the city of Poplar Bluff, Missouri.
Bird Scooters contacted us a while back. They're expanding their services into smaller communities than what they normally do. They're in St. Louis, Kansas City, Nashville, a lot of larger cities. And basically what we're talking about is the electric scooters that you can walk up to if you have an account with Bird. And you can rent these scooters to go from point A to point B. And when you get off of it, you leave it. And again, they approached us. They felt like Poplar Bluff might be a good place to try out a fit with a smaller community. So we've had several back and forth discussions trying to clear things up as to who was liable for what and how the system worked. And I'm assuming everyone's read this, but the way it'll work, they will have a couple of individual contractors in town that their job at night when these things shut down, which there is a time frame that they operate within, then they will, these custodians of the scooters will go gather them up, put them back into a place where, first and foremost, they'll charge them and they'll place them back where they can be used again the next day. So it's not like it's not a situation where they dump them off and leave them in town. They actually have somebody local that will be contracted to do the maintenance on them and keep up with them.
Now, will these be allowed to operate on our streets?
Streets, bike paths, that type of thing, they're not really made to be ridden on the sidewalk, which we have discussed. The walking trail is also suitable for bicycles along Shelby, so we talked about that being a viable. The college has looked at this as well. They didn't come to a quick conclusion on it. However, this is kind of a seasonal thing. They don't leave them out year-round. This is basically a one-year agreement with them. If we choose not to renew it next year, then so be it. Again, this is kind of a test run to see how they work here. I think when I spoke to Mr. Butler from Byrd, they were looking at 50 units initially, just to see how they would do. I think between the college, the hospital, and the shopping area out around Walmart, I think they do well out there. I don't know how well they'll do downtown. They would like to try a few down here, but so I think the college itself will probably come on board with it. They just needed a little more discussion. So,
Where would they be stored at?
the contractor that is servicing them it'll be up to them to store them and or put them out where they're deemed to be needed.
I don't know that at this point.
Not at this point. They'll work that out with us when they get here with them.
Now, my next concern is the liability factor. We're having lots of problems now with gasoline scooters on the road, uninsured, unlicensed folks, and this is going to be adding to that. Who's going to be liable if someone rides out in front of a car and...
Ultimately, the rider is, but the scooter company does carry a pretty substantial liability insurance as well to cover themselves. When you use the app and you rent the scooter, you're basically, it's my understanding you are purchasing insurance for them, but it is still, the liability is put on yourself. It's just like if you're on your bicycle that you own that you don't have insurance on, it'd be the same situation. And another thing they've explained to me is these things are GPS based. So they can actually create a closed area for them to be in. If somebody grabs one at the college and takes off, they're not going to come down 67 with it because that corridor is going to be a no-fly zone, basically. They won't be allowed outside of a zone, is what it's going to amount to.
What other cities are involved with this program here with the Birds Rides? Do you know of any other cities?
Yes, I've had a few people tell me they've actually used them in St. Louis. And Mr. Richardson, they
Okay.
said his grandkids have used them in
Yeah.
other states. And I talked to Morgan McIntosh, our downtown director, and she's used them in St. Louis. She's kind of excited about trying some down here. I don't know how well the fit will be downtown, but
Well, if they carry their own insurance, I don't know. Just give it a try. It's a one-year thing.
that's
And they'll see if it makes money for them. or
right. And if it
something that
doesn't,
we're
then they won't
interested
ask to renew the
Right.
contract. So
Yep.
there's really not much of any kind of cost to the city. This is all on them. So they're just asking for the permission to be here.
It sounds like a potential mutual opportunity for both them and the city. It
Sure.
might be good for the city in certain areas, so. Is there any other councilman that has questions regarding this item? Or anyone from the audience?
My son uses them in St. Louis,
Okay.
downtown.
Well, if not, do we have a motion to move this to the voting session tonight? Excuse me, June 7th.
June 7th. Make a motion to move to the voting session, June the 7th.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? None, motion carries. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Item F, the city council will review a grant agreement with the Missouri Department of Economic Development Community Development Block Grant Program regarding a critical facility generator. Mr. Winters?
But y'all like hearing somebody else talk for a little bit instead of me, don't you? As I announced last week during my manager's report, we received a couple of community development block grants. This first item is for the grant agreement for the purchasing of the generator to be placed at the new police station. This is the grant, us agreeing to accept the grant. So.
Any of the councilmen have questions or comments? One from the audience? If not, do we have a motion to move this to the voting session June 7th?
Make a motion that we move to June 7th voting session.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
None opposed? Motion carries. Item G, the city council will review a grant agreement with the Missouri Department of Economic Development Community Development Block Grant Program regarding a stormwater improvement project. Mr. Winters?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is the second of those community development block grants. This one is for some stormwater improvement projects around town.
Any questions or comments on this item?
Is there a cost share on that?
On the stormwater one, no, that's 100% grant funded, engineering and the construction costs. On the, and that was in the amount of $701,824 is the total grant amount on that one, and it is all grant funded.
I make a motion, we move it to the June 7th voting session.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? None. Motion carries. Item 9, action required items. Item AA, bill number 8303, the city council will take action on an ordinance amending chapter 120.060, personnel residential requirements. Do we have a motion for first reading?
Motion for first reading.
Second? Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Counselor?
Sorry, Mayor, my laptop just crashed. We're okay. An ordinance amending the City of Poplar Bluff Code of City Ordinances, Section 120.060B, relating to personnel residency requirements.
Motion for second reading of bill number 8303.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? None. Counselor?
An ordinance amending the City of Poplar Bluff Code of City Ordinances, Section 120.060B, relating to personnel residency requirements.
Motion for adoption.
I have a point of discussion. We're looking at moving this out to 45 miles. I think that's too far. You know, we had a good deal with the 12-mile radius. And now that we want to move it out 45 miles, I think that's just way out of the way. That doesn't make sense. So, I don't know where or who came up with 45 miles, but I thought we done quite well with 12 miles. And the excuse that we can't recruit anyone to work for the city, that's a lame excuse, whoever said that. Right now, we have a lot of people that are not working, and it's not because there are not any jobs out there. There are a lot of other reasons, and to move this to 45 miles, that could be almost anywhere. Suppose we had a major fire, pray that we don't. and it would take someone in excess of 45 minutes to get here. Even in law enforcement and in any other department. When we allow those folks to live that far out and try and do a service to our community, I think we're cutting our own nose off right there. So with that being said, I cannot and I will not support this.
I'd like to make a motion that we table this item to get a little further information on it.
Okay, we had a motion for adoption on the floor, so is there a second?
I didn't hear a second on the original motion.
You made a motion for adoption, correct?
Right.
And do we have a second for adoption of the item? Okay, if there is, if there's no, okay, this item fails. Item AA, bill number 8303, does not pass.
So now can we make the motion to table this item?
We had to have a second for that first.
I'm not sure what the mayor just declared.
The item's done.
Do we have to have a second for adoption to be able to change the vote
I
to
think,
table it?
You can,
First of all, there was a motion to adopt, but then there was a privileged motion to table it to a day certain. That privileged motion, assuming there's a second and it passes, takes precedence over the original motion to adopt. So where you are procedurally parliamentary, Mr. Mayor, is that you have a pending motion to adopt bill number 8303. You also have a pending privileged motion to table the vote on this until June 7th. I believe you said June 7th,
Yes.
did you not, Councilman?
I'm sorry?
Did you say June 7th?
I don't remember. Well, I think I did say June 7th, yes.
Okay.
Counselor,
So you need to first, assuming there's a second to the privileged motion, you need to vote on that first.
So I can make a second to the privilege
well,
motion.
Counselor, all due respect, I don't think we had a second on the motion to adopt. So,
I'm not sure if there was a,
so the item dies. There was no second to that motion to adopt.
I have a hard time hearing back in the audience.
And-
I thought I adopted.
I heard the
I thought I
motion to-
seconded the
He seconded
adoption.
adopt, and then made a motion to change it to the
To, yeah.
session in June.
Oh, okay.
That'll
Seems
be
like
up
what I
to whatever the
remember.
record is.
Yeah, whatever.
The motion
it's
to
recorded,
adopt-
right?
Did he second it? I thought he motioned to table it.
She motioned, here's what I believe happened. I believe she motioned to adopt. I think I seconded it. And then I made the motion before the vote to table. So we can look back on it. I think it's just some confusion on it.
Yeah, I believe that we, if I'm correct, Counselor, that we needed to act on her motion to adopt first. And she made the motion, and was there a second? I never heard a second myself on the adoption.
It was not.
Shane's.
I don't know if there was a second to the motion. I heard a motion to adopt. That motion requires a second, and then it's open for discussion. During that discussion, or at any time during that discussion, a privileged motion to table would immediately be recognized and take precedence over the motion to adopt. You would have to, if you had a motion to table that was seconded, that's non-debatable, non-discussable, but it is a straight-up, immediate roll call vote to table. If that motion to table is successful by a majority vote, then it is tabled. If that motion is not successful by a roll call vote, then you go back to the original motion to adopt.
Okay, so at this
Okay.
point, we are doing a roll call vote to see if it's tabled or not.
So we do have
It'll be up
a...
to the mayor's call. I
Yeah,
don't know if they're
we
with
do
us.
have a motion, a privileged motion to table this, which you made, Mr. Cornman. The second was made by Councilman Parsons. So we will,
Can I ask a question?
yes, ma'am.
What is the purpose of tabling it? You all had all the information you wanted, you're ready to vote on it.
I still have people I would like to talk to, and Jerica has some.
I don't think you can do enough research. I mean, we don't know it all, so we're going to have to do a little bit more looking
Okay.
into it.
So all in favor of tabling this to the next voting session on June 7th?
I will need to do a roll call vote.
You know,
It's a privileged motion that's been seconded. There is no discussion, no debate,
Okay.
but it is required, it does require a roll call vote.
absolutely. Roll call, clerk.
Councilwoman Parson?
Yes.
Councilwoman Horton?
Yes.
Councilman Smith?
No.
Councilwoman Taylor?
No.
Mayor Pro Tem Cornman?
Yes.
Mayor Davis?
Yes.
It passes.
This item passes to the next voting session.
And I might just point out, this tables it to a day certain, which is June 7th. It comes back up on the voting session agenda, and at that time, it cannot be amended by discussion or vote in a voting session. It can either be voted up or down, or a privileged motion to table it further is the only action you can take on it at that time.
Okay, thank you, Counselor. Item BB, Bill Number 8304, the City Council will take action on an ordinance accepting change order number 1 regarding the airport runway extension project 20075A.
Motion for first reading of bill number 8304.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Counselor?
An ordinance authorizing the mayor to execute change order number 1 relating to the airport runway extension project.
Motion for second reading of bill number 8304.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? None. Second reading.
Is there a motion?
All in favor?
All in favor?
I made the motion. Barbara seconded.
Okay. Did you read it second?
Motion
Counselor?
for second reading requires a motion and a second.
Yes,
We
sir.
got it.
Roll call vote.
Yes, sir. Counselor?
Thank you. An ordinance authorizing the mayor to execute change order number 1 relating to the airport runway extension project.
Do we have a motion for adoption?
Motion for adoption, bill number 8304.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Roll call.
Councilwoman Horton? Yes. Councilman Smith?
Yes.
Councilwoman Taylor?
Yes.
Councilwoman Parson?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Cornman?
Yes.
Mayor Davis?
Yes. Bill number 8304 passes. Item CC, Bill number 8305, the City Council will take action on an amendment to the amended December 2014 plumbing policy regarding sewer materials. Council. Do we have a
Motion
motion?
for first reading of bill number 8305.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. None opposed, Counselor?
An ordinance amending the City of Poplar Bluff, Missouri Code, Plumbing Code, Section 500.061, relating to sewer materials.
Motion for second reading of bill number 8305.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
None opposed, Counselor?
An ordinance amending the City of Poplar Bluff, Missouri Plumbing Code, Section 500.061, relating to sewer materials.
We have a motion for adoption.
Motion for adoption of bill number 8305.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any questions or comments? Roll call, Ms.
Councilman Smith,
Yes.
Councilwoman Taylor,
Yes.
Councilwoman Parson,
Yes.
Councilwoman Horton,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Cornman,
Yes.
Mayor Davis.
Yes. Bill number 8305 passes. Next item, DD Bill number 8306. The City Council will take action on an ordinance annexing certain property at 700 Shelby Road with a recommendation from the Planning and Zoning Commission to zone the property as C2 General Commercial.
Motion for first reading of bill number 8306.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
None opposed, Counselor?
An ordinance annexing certain real property into the City of Poplar Bluff, Missouri, such property being described as 700 Shelby Road, Poplar Bluff, Missouri, and owned by Bell Real Estate, LLC.
Motion for second reading of bill number 8306.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. None opposed? Counselor?
An ordinance annexing certain real property into the City of Poplar Bluff, Missouri, such property being described as 700 Shelby Road, Poplar Bluff, Missouri, and owned by Bell Real Estate, LLC.
Motion for adoption of bill number 8306.
Second.
Any questions or comments? If not, roll call.
Councilwoman Taylor,
Yes.
Councilwoman Parson,
Yes.
Councilwoman Horton,
Yes.
Councilman Smith,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Cornman,
Yes.
Mayor Davis.
Yes. Item bill number 8306 passes. Item EE, resolution number 1946. The City Council will take action on a resolution authorizing the City of Poplar Bluff to submit an application for a Tree City USA designation through the Arbor Day Foundation.
Motion for the reading of resolution number 1946.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Counselor?
A resolution of the City of Poplar Bluff authorizing the city to apply for the designation of Tree City USA from the Arbor Day Foundation.
Move for adoption of resolution number 1946.
Second.
Any questions or comments? Roll call.
Councilwoman Parson,
Yes.
Councilwoman Horton,
Yes.
Councilman Smith,
Yes.
Councilwoman Taylor,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Cornman,
Yes.
Mayor Davis.
Yes. Resolution number 1946 passes. Action item FF, resolution number 1947. The City Council will take action on a resolution calling for a public hearing regarding the annexation of property located at 2893 Reno Drive.
Motion for the reading of resolution number 1947.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? None? Counselor?
A resolution with respect to the annexation of a certain unincorporated area into the City of Poplar Bluff, Missouri, such property being located at 2893 Reno Drive in Butler County, Missouri, and owned by Oak Grove Plaza, LLC.
Motion for adoption of resolution 1947.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? If there's no questions, roll call. Clerk Young?
Councilwoman Horton,
Yes.
Councilman Smith,
Yes.
Councilwoman Taylor,
Yes.
Councilwoman Parson,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Cornman,
Yes.
Mayor Davis.
Yes. Resolution number 1947 passes. We will go into closed session tonight, and regarding item GG, the city council of the city of Poplar Bluff will meet in a closed meeting in which they will discuss such matters which are exempted under the open meetings law, section 610.021.1 RSMO, .2, .3, .9, .11, .12, .13, and .14 RSMO. Do we have a
So moved.
okay, we have a motion to go into closed session. Do we have a
Yeah, he did.
second?
Yeah, second.
Roll call.
Councilwoman Parson,
Yes, here.
Councilwoman Horton,
Yes.
Councilwoman Fox, Councilman Smith,
Yes.
Councilwoman Taylor,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Cornman,
Yes.
Mayor Davis.
Yes. Mr. Winters, will you present our city manager's report?
Well, I don't have much to report tonight. I did, we've talked about the airport project and just, that's a good project for us. We're excited about it. They actually start, the Wednesday, the 19th, they'll start tearing up the asphalt and the airport is then closed for 30 days. They'll get it open and has a new concrete poured and cured and striped and ready for get back to business after that. So we're excited about that. We actually have had some requests by some of the folks that hangar their planes at the airport who have moved them to Dexter. We're actually going to be taking our airport fuel truck to Dexter because some folks over there that normally stay here want us to continue to maintain and take care of their aircraft. So it's kind of a compliment to the guys out there that are doing that on a daily basis, that they want that service continued because they appreciate the service we provide them and the care that we show their plane. So Gary's doing a good job out there. That's about all I have tonight, sir.
If there's no further business for the regular meeting, do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Adjourn.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?